When I started playing Commander a few years ago, I loved playing Boros. However, the deeper I got into Magic, the more I started shifting my focus towards building decks in bracket 4 and sometimes now bracket 5. But really, Boros didn't really have a home there. I felt as if the further I pushed the power level, the less combat damage really mattered, as everyone was kind of trying to play for combo pieces or other ways to win the game. And now looking back on the Boros colors, I feel like it kind of sucks at the tables that I play. I don't think it sucks overall, but it definitely isn't great, and I wanted to show you one of my old pet decks that I have that I still have lying around that I don't really get to play anymore. Now before we get deeper into the video, I want to disclaimer, I don't hate Boros. I love Boros. Boros is great. It's great in limited. Definitely great in limited. Doesn't matter what the fuck cards you have in limited, just build Boros and you usually win the game. But in Commander, and especially at the higher power levels, Boros doesn't really have a home as much. I feel like the color pair sometimes struggles with harnessing like the best parts of Commander, which is card draw and ramp, and red and white don't really have those things. Sure, they can do them, but they don't really have a strong focus on them, and it's sort of just like a subcategory for them. This also might be a hot take, but I also don't think there's that many great Boros commanders. Sure, there's things like Arabella and Winota, but when I think of the color pairing, there aren't many cards that really stand out to me that I want to play. When I was building my Boros commander, I found I wanted to pick something that was just complementary to the deck rather than have a heavy focus on it like a lot of my other decks. So let me introduce you to my commander. This is Tajic Legion's Edge, which according to EDH rec only has about 240 decks built. Tajic reads Haste, Mentor, and if you don't know what Mentor does, it says whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature with lesser power. Additionally, it has prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control, and for red-white, you can give it first strike. Nothing too fancy, but the most important line here is obviously the prevention to non-combat damage to other creatures, so let me show you how I decided to build the deck. Now that you've seen what Tajic does, I guess I'll just show you what the 99 is. And with this deck, I'll do it a bit differently, as this deck doesn't have as much really focused synergy, but more is just a pile of Boros good stuff. I'm going to go through the different segments in creatures, sorceries, instants, artifacts, enchantments, and lands. A lot of the creatures in this deck are just really good attackers, and that's pretty much it. As you're in Boros, a lot of the time all you want to be doing is attacking, so obviously we've just got a bunch of really good creatures. Farming Commander is great, just lets you draw heaps of cards. Honestly, if you have a white deck where you're attacking with creatures, I think this card is just amazing. It's also really powerful just being in Commander, as it also incentivizes your opponents to swing at other people. Legion Lotus is a really good 1/1 for 1, and a lot of its benefits aren't really that amazing, except for the last line, which says, can't be blocked by creature tokens this turn. When you're playing at low bracket tables, the token strategies are really popular, so this is just a great way to give your creatures evasion. Tori is another great card, it's just keywords and untapping and +1/+1s and everything like that. Boromir is really great, this one's pretty good against people with more high power decks, however, its final thing to sacrifice it and creatures gain indestructible to end a turn is really great. Just having more board protection is great when you're in Boros. During Curiosity, I just added this creature, but I haven't really had much value from it. I wanted to use it as just a way to give things haste, but I haven't really been able to play it yet, but it's here in case I ever draw it. Aurelia of the Law Above. So originally this wasn't a Aurelia deck, which is why there are a lot of like attacking with 2 or more, 3 or more triggers. However, this card is just good on its own, and I just love this card in general. I think it's probably my favorite for Murders of Karlov Manor. Windborn Muse for your protection. Keeper the Accord gives you a bit of ramp. Grand Abolisher, just a little bit more protection. Bastion Protector is a really great card to give your commander indestructible, and with Tajic protecting the rest of your board, these two just work well to make your whole board state untouchable. Paladin Elizabeth Tadri, I honestly don't love this card in the deck anymore. I haven't had as much value from it as I thought I would, and I thought this would just be a more popular commander on its own, but it's not. Blade Historian, give everything double strike. Hero of the Blade Hold, just give everything +1/+0 plus tokens. Combat Celebrant for extra combat steps. Archangel of Tithes for more defensive measures. And Nimpakal, if you can get this out on curve, it is so strong. It gives you so many tokens. Swiftblade Vindicate is really good because with the Mentor trigger on your commander, you can actually get this up pretty big. Esper Sentinel. Odric. This one, when you attack with 3 or more other creatures, you choose which creatures block this combat and how. So obviously this one is just great for evasion. Aurelia, Exemplar of Justice, is another great attacker. Frontline Medic's just a great one to give your creatures more protection. Moonshackle Cavalry is just a good game ender. It is very expensive, but even if you have, 5 or 6 other creatures on the board when you play this, you usually can knock out 1 or 2 players. Ioris is really good, giving things menace and preventing all damage that be dealt to attacking creatures, and with Tajic preventing all non-combat damage, it means your board state is pretty invincible. Odric, just to share around that keyword soup. Aurelia, the War Leader, this is just a great game ender, giving you extra combat phases on Theft of Paradise because we don't have that much ramp, and you can obviously mentor it later, so it does swing. Nelly Borka's great for card draw. I also think this is just a really great commander on its own. And Gilsa, Blade of Gold Knight, this one just gives you more damage on the board, which is something you could never have too much of in Boros. So yeah, you can see there's a pretty common theme of just good attackers, good combat triggers, extra combats, and everything like that. The next section I'll go through is just all your instants and sorceries, and there's actually a lot more than I thought there'd be now that I'm holding them. First one is Gamble. Gamble's just a great shooter. Blasphemous Axe. So this deck does have a lot of board wipes, as your commander can prevent all non-combat damage done to your creatures you control. It's just really good at clearing the board while keeping your board state alive. Taunt of the Rampart. This is one of the biggest bombs in the deck, and such an amazing commander card. If you're at a low power table, this card just turns the whole table on its head. It says, goad all creatures your opponents control until your next turn, those creatures can't block. Meaning you've got a whole round to swing. If you play this before your combat step, you've got a whole round of just swinging at whoever you want and no one can block you. But then you've got to watch all the other 3 players fight each other as they can't block, and someone always dies. Faithless Looting. Angel Fire Ignition's a really great card just to give something just a bunch of keywords and +1/+1s. Solar Blaze, another board wipe. Chain Reaction, another board wipe. Generous Gift from removal. Chroma's Will to end the game. Flare of Fortitude, this one's really good just to give everything hexproof and indestructible. It's just another way to protect your board because you're very weak to board wipes once your commander is dead. Boros Charm, this one's really sneaky to give things indestructible or double strike. Flawless Movement and more board protection. Deflecting Palm, never sleep on Deflecting Palm. Even if you don't have it in your hand, just tell people you have Deflecting Palm in your hand and they'll leave you alone. Take the Bait's an additional combat step plus goading. Legion's Leadership's also a really great one. Demand Answers draws you more cards. Great Train Heist is really great to end the game. Swords to Plowshare, Deflecting Swat, and Wear and Tear just for a little bit more enchantment artifact removal. The next section is your artifacts and enchantments, so obviously stuff like Lightning Greaves, Arcane Signet, Sword of the Animist, really great card just to get you more lands on the battlefield. Talisman of Conviction, Archaeomancer's Map. This is a pretty slept on card in my opinion, and especially if you have not that much ramp, I feel like more people in white should be playing this card. It reads, when Archaeomancer's Map enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 2 Plains cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player controls more lands than you, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Pearl Medallion, Soul Ring, and yeah, they're all your artifacts, very basic stuff. Now for your enchantments, Virtual of Loyalty. I don't love this card anymore, but having an instant speed 2/2 creature on the battlefield is just a good blocker. And later in the game, it does give your creatures pseudo-vigilance, so it's not that bad. Aggravated Assault for more combat steps, Smothering Tithe for more ramp, Spiteful Banditry is just another great board wipe. Curse of Opulence is probably my favorite card in the entire deck. You enchant a player, and then when enchanted players attack, you make a gold token, and each player who attacks that player does the same. A gold token is essentially just a treasure token, only you don't need to tap it to sacrifice it. Chivalric Alliance allows you to draw cards, and Land Tax helps you ramp a little more, and then Ghostly Prison for a bit more protection. As for the lands, there's nothing really amazing in here, nothing with too much utility. I think the biggest one in here, if I can find it, is Arena of Glory. This one just allows you to give your creatures a little more haste and just that little bit of extra value. And yeah, other than that, Minister is also good. Other than that, pretty basic land package, nothing too crazy. So yeah, that's Tajic. One of my friends ended up pulling a serialized one from Ravnica Remastered, which is like a dream of mine that I've never been able to do. But let me know what you think of Tajic. Let me know what Boros commanders you play, and if you think Boros can really survive at high power levels besides Winota. And if you like this video, maybe subscribe, give it a like, send it to a friend, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.